For today's lesson about Buxton, a Lost Utopia, we are going to revisit the excerpt from As I Remember by Minnie London. We will reread it and answer some questions looking at it from a different perspective. Please make sure you have your excerpt in front of you to follow along, or feel free to follow along on the screen as well. If you'd like, you can read it along with me as we go. The YMCA was a large 3-story structure built diagonally across from the company store. It was built expressly for the colored miners, and when they seemed reluctant to take advantage of the opportunity, the superintendent indicated that he would turn it over to the white people. Our people, after reconsideration, pledged cooperation, and then a very efficient secretary in the person of L.E. Johnson was engaged. The first floor of the building contained offices and recreation rooms. The second, a spacious auditorium with stage and dressing rooms. The third floor was occupied by rooms for the many secret orders. To the north of the large building was a smaller building, containing a swimming pool for the younger group with their own secretary. The Langlois sisters, better known as the French women, displayed moving pictures every night, which afforded a very enjoyable recreation for the miners and families. Road shows as well as moving pictures were featured in the auditorium, among them East Lynne and the Count of Monte Cristo. Among the many noted Negroes who entertained packed houses were Hallew Q. Brown, Booker T. Washington, Blind Boone, and Roscoe Conklin Simmons. I must not forget to relate to you about the roller skating rinks and the added recreation it afforded the younger folks, and I might add some older ones too. You ought to have seen how these boys and girls did skate. The jolting jitterbug of today was a mild comparison. Again, like when we looked at this in our last lesson, I think it's really interesting to hear about the life in Buxton from someone who actually lived there. So for your assignment today, since this was a quicker lesson, just a kind of a review, in your last assignment, you had to think about what they did for fun. So now I want you to think about what Minnie said in a little bit of a different light. You have 2 different questions today. One is, in what ways was Buxton successful? So in your last lesson, you thought about what they did for fun, but how does that transfer into telling us how the town was successful? Would a successful town be able to have a YMCA? Would a successful town be able to have entertainers come into their town? Think about that and what we read in the excerpt to answer this question. Your second question, if Buxton had a wide variety of items to buy and opportunities for things to do for fun, what does that tell us about Buxton as a community? This question does relate back to the first question. So think about in what ways Buxton was successful, and that will help you a little bit answer this question of what we know about Buxton as a community. Do your best to answer these questions before you turn in your assignment.